Here be dragons. How maps were made. Fusroda. Welcome back to another episode of Connerly's Chronicles. Today, I'm going to talk about the subject that I used to open my class with, how maps were made and how it can apply to your life. You might have noticed the sign that hangs above my whiteboard. It was a thrift store find, which was awesome for my classroom when I taught because it not only is a cool phrase with some great history behind it, but it was a valuable motto. More on that in a second. First, a little bit about maps. I love context. Let's talk about some. Here be dragons is a translation of a Latin phrase, hic sunt dracones, which of course means what it means in English. By the way, are you interested in learning more Latin? Check out my brother's account. Hic sunt dracones is a phrase used by cartographers, which is a word that is a mix of Latin and Greek that means map maker. Cartographers used to write this message or sometimes draw dragons or other sea creatures as a way to indicate that an explorer hadn't been to that area before. Before satellites and GPS, explorers had to go to a location and make maps of their travels. If no one had done that yet, the cartographer wrote on the map, well, there's probably dragons here, I don't know. That now brings me to portolan lines. If you take a look at a particularly old map, you might notice a bunch of lines all over it. These are portolan lines for a portolan chart, which indicate the directions that sailors had taken. If you followed a line, it would take you to a port, hence the name portolan. It was a useful tool to get sailors to a safe place, at least until they were replaced by more useful projections like the Mercator projection, which took into account the curvature of the Earth and was much more useful for crossing open ocean. It's not the most accurate map though. If you want to learn more about that topic, let me know. This brings me back to why I started my class with this information. You and I and all other people on this planet are all explorers making our way through the uncharted seas of our lives. But exploring gets overwhelming. It's easy to feel like you're lost at sea, like you're never going to make it back to feeling safe, like you're never going to make it back to port. That's why I always told my students that you ever start to feel sad or overwhelmed or lost, that you should reach out to someone. A fellow explorer may have already been where you are now emotionally, so take a look at their charts. They may be able to get you back to port. If you need some resources, I have a few to get you started. These are the ones that I used in my classroom. With that, you know a little more Latin, a little more about maps, and I hope you'll reach out to someone if you ever need a little help. Thank you for joining me to explore the story of